It's a Monday. It's January 6, 2025. As we roll now into getting back into a regular schedule with the holidays over. Better late than never is the title of this podcast. Better late than ever meaning, well, winter for a lot of you has been off to a very late start, but here it is, and we'll show you why we think it's going to stick. Lots of different scenes to show you from photos that folks sent in. Less in the way of lenticular clouds and more in the way of, well, winter weather. What we're going to have are cold northwest winds aloft. And this type of pattern merges a little bit of Pacific with Canada. And so you get a colder pattern and you have waves come through that will bring mountain snow, light snows to the plains, but persistently colder temperatures now, and definitely a more winter-like feel to the weather pattern. No one's going to get clobbered by a lot of snow this week, but light snows will fall, making roads and highways slick and continuing to help build the mountain snowpack, as it's a good pattern for the mountain areas of the region. This is a pattern that's really affecting a lot of the nation. We've got the big storm that's going to be affecting parts of the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, then another storm going to be walloping parts of Texas and the southern plains, as we'll show you here in a moment. And the long-term pattern is evolving. Things have changed and are going to continue to change. I know seeing is believing, but we'll show you why we're confident that changes are finally evolving and taking place. So instead of lots of high lenticular clouds and sunrises and sunsets, we've got a lot of images that came in over the weekend that look like this. Freezing fog and areas of light snow coating a lot of things. Finally, east of the divide, able to get moisture. Beautiful shot there from Dave Bell in the Wind River Mountains with Gannett Peak there on the far left. Lots of snow has fallen, and avalanche conditions and avalanche dangers have definitely gone up across the west, and we'll need to continue to watch that. So really, all across the region, winterscapes now being shown across the region. Beautiful shot there of the birds and the frost and the mountains of southwest Colorado with a little bit of fresh snow there. And from both sides of the divide, here's a shot from Craig and then a shot from Frontier Park in Cheyenne of just the frost that was quite amazing, coating everything. And as we take a look going down the road, we're going to have more of those winterscapes like this coming our way. Satellite imagery this morning isn't that impressive, but there's more here than what you see. Across the eastern areas of the United States, here's that low that'll be wreaking havoc today and into tomorrow. Over on the eastern side of the U.S., we have a low here. And what you can't see are little disturbances in the flow aloft coming in from the northwest, out of northwest areas of Canada. There's a lot of cold air coming in out of the northwest like this, and there's also a little bit of connection of Pacific moisture coming around this ridge. So while the satellite imagery is not impressive, there's more there than meets the eye. When we look at all of the winter storm warnings and advisories for bad weather across the U.S., you can see this is a lot of real estate, folks, of ice and heavy snow going across this part of the U.S. here, going into D.C., going into parts of Philadelphia here, Virginia. Going to be a real mess there. Look at that. All of West Virginia under a winter storm warning. Winter weather advisories for later today and tonight along the Colorado Front Range and parts of southeastern Wyoming due to light snowfall and very icy roads and highways. And back here, you can see the northwest flow lining up to where those purple areas are. The west coast kind of catching a little bit of a break as the high pressure ridge builds right here. And this is where the high is going to want to be building here for the course of the week ahead. Far enough west to allow the door to open for the colder Canadian air to go more west than it's been lately. It's going to go into a lot of the nation, sneaking in to areas along and west of the divide. We talk about the placement of the ridge in the winter. It is critical to how the weather is going to go in the west. For October, November, and most of December, the high pressure ridge wanted to be in this area here, directing all the bad weather here. But the westward shift in the high, which was something we were anticipating, maybe a couple of weeks late, is finally starting to evolve. So that basically leaves the door open to Canada, and waves from the Pacific Northwest are right over the ridge and then down south into the west. That's what we're going to see. By Wednesday, we have this wave right here today. By Wednesday, it comes and splits with a little bit of low pressure coming into the desert southwest. So there's actually going to be a little bit of weather in the southwestern United States. Here's another wave right here behind. The high's still here, so it's going to come down right behind it. And what that's going to do between today and tomorrow and into Wednesday morning looks like this. Here's the heavy snow event here, more lake effect snow, and the northwest wind flow aloft. Again, nothing you see here in the west is really heavy, but light to moderate snows along the Colorado Front Range, across many areas of Wyoming and the Dakotas, light, fluffy snow in that northwest flow with heavier snow in the mountains and cold temperatures. So while no one gets clobbered, roads and highways are going to be slick, mountain passes as well, and temperatures are going to be chilly. That's the first wave. And here's a little bit of a focused in, zoomed in shot for that same image right there. Then when you look at temperatures by Wednesday, the temperature anomalies look like this. Much below average temperatures from the Rockies through the Great Lakes, to Florida, to Texas, to even northeast Mexico. Now you might be looking up here in Canada and say, wow, they're really warm. They're really hot. They're not. It's just that the anomaly, these are above average temperatures. Now when you're saying, well, how could Canada have above average temperatures and we're below average down here? This is all crazy. No, this is how it works. When you displace Canadian air and air in the Arctic, and you push it south, you displace the air, so temperatures are not going to be even all across the board over such a large area. When temperatures go above normal up here, we go below normal down here. So don't look at this and say that Canada is burning up. It's just that it's a bit warmer than average because the cold air is being displaced further south. So this is where we are on Wednesday. This wave is going to come in behind it on Thursday, and we get this. We get another round of light snows along the divide and out on into the plains. Again, nothing to write home about, but a light covering of snow will fall. Now, we'll talk about this here in a minute. This next wave that's going to come in is going to go deeper south, interact with Gulf of Mexico moisture, and the Arctic air coming in behind it is going to produce a huge mess in Texas. Across eastern New Mexico, the panhandle of Texas, into the Dallas-Fort Worth area, all of Oklahoma here, and into Arkansas even, there's going to be a significant snowstorm. This is going to be happening midweek. Not only a snowstorm, but here we go with another ice storm. So two major newsmaker weather systems here within a week's time frame. The cold air comes in, and the pattern, see how the high is anchored here? So it's more the same, little ripples coming in northwest flow. This is just a snow factory in the mountains when this happens, and more light snows and more cold will spread across the plains. So here's what we get as we get into the weekend. Another push of moisture comes in from the northwest, similar pattern, bringing snow to the north central Rockies and the north central plains. Again, since the moisture source isn't deep Pacific air, you're not going to get a lot of snow, but you're going to stay cold, and the light snow that does fall is going to stack up on the snow that fell earlier and really not melt away and go anywhere. Cold temperatures over the next week. These are the temperature anomalies for the next 7 days between now and Monday. So you can see how cold it will be across the southern plains, and the temperature anomaly back into the Rockies isn't severely cold, but it's a little below average. If it's a little bit below average in January, you're cold. And there you can see the anomaly across Canada. This is going to be a recurring theme in the days ahead. Going out 10 days, the high is still here. So pattern stays the same. So we're going to continue into the weekend and next week with the same pattern. This area of cold right here, of cold air, this is a little bit of an area of very cold air aloft and on the ground. And notice how the oval here reaches back to the east slopes of the Rockies. We have this high here, we have this Greenland block up here, and we have this high here. This is going to bottle up a large area of cold basically in this part of North America here as we go into the 10-day period. This is out to 10 to 15 days. Now, this is going out pretty far on the model, and it may not look exactly like this, but this is the general trend, and the confidence is high that this will be the trend. Remember, what we want to see here is not specific, but trends. The trends in the 10 to 15-day period, this would be the 15th through the 20th of January, for all of the lower 48, really, is for much colder than average temperatures. And notice the cold is west of the divide, even into Arizona here, even into the southwestern United States. Look at Mexico. And when you take a look at what we talked about back in early December, we talked about the high pressure ridge and its placement was going to have the likelihood of shifting west. So let's review a little bit. This was the European model forecast for the month of December. The high pressure ridge, as I showed you, the axis was basically like this, displacing the coldest air where the coldest air was in December in the Great Lakes in the east. Hence all the winter weather that they had in the below average temperatures and the above average warm, dry weather we had in the western United States during the month of December. Remember, it's really all about what happens in the Pacific and what happens with the high during the winter. When we take a look at the new model that came out over this weekend, this is the month of January. Notice where the high pressure ridge axis is, right where it is now. And it's showing that for most of the month of January, that's generally where it should be. Now, it doesn't mean the ridge will move east. It will. It'll also mean it will move west, but the mean average of the high is here now instead of being here. That's a game changer, basically. That's going to change the weather pattern. So you can see all the blue here and the white comes back further west now. Now look what happens in February. The high goes all the way back to the Aleutians. That makes the opportunity for even colder air to come further west. So January and February are going to be different. Why so confident? Well, one, the models are consistent. Number two, the premise of this pattern change happening coincides with the weakening La Nina. And look what's happened. In the last week, you see these yellow and orange pockets here along the equator. This is the 7-day change in temperature in Celsius that's happened in the subtropical waters in this long, huge stretch of tropical water in the Pacific. If you look at the current La Nina state, well, here it is. But look what's happened on the eastern end. It's been cut off. It's done. This is how La Ninas erode and go away. This is a very important, we call this an ENSO area where we take a look, and when this is cold here, that's a lot of the warmth and the high here. With this cold being replaced by this warmth, this is another reason things are going to shift west. Also, we talked about this in our long-range forecast, that the anomaly of temperatures was going to change up here in the Gulf of Alaska to warmer, which also supports the high wanting to be further west out into the Pacific. So it is likely that the warm, dry weather we had in October, November, and December, the pattern that caused that is going away. So things should be different. And we're starting to see that now as we start the new month and the new year. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.